think it is time to go ahead and get started. Hey, welcome to AtTheTrack.live. I am Coach James. I am the creator and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics. What is All About Aerodynamics? Glad you asked. Even if you didn't ask, All About Aerodynamics is a science program where I use Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about a range of science and physics related topics, including but not limited to Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion, kinetic energy, potential energy, force, lift, drag, aerodynamics, and a whole group of other subjects. Once I have taught the students the science and we've conducted experiments to drive home those concepts, then and only then do I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars, and each student gets to select one Hot Wheels car that they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything they've learned. Will their car perform up to or below their expectations? That's the question. But before we race the cars, the students have to examine the cars. They take pictures of the cars. They catalog the year that the car was manufactured. They check the weight. They test the speed. After they've done all that and made all of those observations, then and only then do we take the cars to our 1/64th scale quarter-mile drag strip, and the students race the cars and observe how their cars performed and observe whether or not their car performed up to or below their expectations. And if they had the choice, would they select that same car, or would they make a different choice based on what they've observed? So in the end, we learn science, we have fun with Hot Wheels cars, and it's a good time all around. If you would like more information on our science program, All About Aerodynamics, you can go to our website, aaerodynamics.com, or you can visit our Instagram account right there, AA Aerodynamics, and get all of the latest and greatest up-to-date information about the program and about different things that are coming up and how to bring All About Aerodynamics to your school or your organization or your special event. We have different presentation options, so whatever you need, we can usually find something to satisfy that need. So you can visit the website, the Instagram account, if you want to ask me any specific questions. My contact information there's phone numbers, email addresses, or you can just send me a direct message. So that is All About Aerodynamics. But this is not all about aerodynamics. This is All About Aerodynamics presents AtTheTrack.live. So what is AtTheTrack.live? Before I can bring the cars in for the students to use, I have to make sure I know exactly which cars I'm taking into the schools, so I can make sure I'm bringing those same cars back, and I can have them organized in a way that makes it easy to go to the next group of students. And before I can bring those cars in, I have to make sure that I have them cataloged. And the process of cataloging all the cars that I have in storage is a boring process, or at least it was, until I came up with the idea for AtTheTrack.live. So with AtTheTrack.live, each week I introduce 6 new Hot Wheels cars that are going to be going into the fleet and available for the students to choose from. But this is where we get to take our first look at the cars. So I will pull the cars out of storage, crack those open, we'll take a look at them, I'll shoot a picture, take a quick video, because there's an online version of All About Aerodynamics, and so the students need the video and the pictures so that they can make their selection. And then after I do that, I enter the information into the spreadsheet, and then we have 6 cars that are new to the fleet. But since the track is already set up, I figured, why not race? So after I've cataloged all the new cars, take them to the track, and we have a little mini tournament. And that mini tournament will determine the car that is the winning car for the day, our champion of the day. That car that's the champion of the day then gets the opportunity to take on our fastest in fleet car. And our fastest in fleet car is the car that it won the previous week. And right now, we have our fastest in fleet car is this one. It is the Gazella R, which defeated our 17 time champion, the Blitz Speeder, just about, I guess it'd be about 2 weeks ago. And the Gazella R is now the fastest car in our fleet. So the winner of today's tournament will get the opportunity to take on the Gazella R in a race. So we may have a new fastest in fleet car. We may not. The Gazella may move on and continue to defend its title as the fastest in fleet car. But wait, there's more. Not only are we going to race these 6 cars, but you have the opportunity to participate. If you go to the website, AtTheTrack.live, you will see 3 options. There is the Twitch stream option. There is the YouTube stream option, which you don't need because you're already watching, or you're watching this later. But the third option, the third most critical, most important option, is the option that says choose a car. If you click on that link, it will take you to this page, and on this page, you will see all of the cars in the All About Aerodynamics at the Track Live fleet listed, cataloged, and numbered. And you can scroll through, you can take a look at all of the cars that we have in the fleet, and if you see one that you say, you know what, I think that car would be faster than whichever car Coach James just introduced, then all you have to do is click on that car. So let's say you think it's this surf crate, this tiki surf crate, this one. And you say, you know what? I think that car is going to be faster than whatever car Coach James just introduced. Then all you have to do is click on the car. You can take a closer look and you can see from the reflection in the mirror whether it's a plastic body on a metal base or a metal body on a plastic base. Or maybe it's metal on metal, which looks like it might be the case here. It's kind of a mix. But if this is the car you want, if once you find the car you want, all you have to do is take the number of that car, in this case 290. You take that 290, you drop it into the chat, and then I will pull that car, and your car will be entered into the tournament to find out if we can find a car that is faster than our current fastest in fleet champion, the Gazella. But before you get to the Gazella, you have to beat all the other cars that get introduced today. So this is a listing and a catalog of all the cars we have. There are fantasy cars. There are cars based on real cars. There are hypercars, supercars. There are cars from the 70s, cars from the 80s, cars from the 90s, and of course from the 2000s. There are sleek cars. There are trucks. There are gimmick cars like this one, number 320, the Bubble-Matic, which this little ring around the driver's canopy flips up and turns into a little bubble thing. So if you have the soapy water, you can dip it in there and you can blow bubbles. The Bubble-Matic. Don't know that helps it perform any better on the track, but it's just a unique feature, and we have several cars like that. There's one car that's a bottle opener. There's another car with a wrench. I believe we have the Gotta Go, which is a toilet that was turned into a car, or a car turned into a toilet, one or the other. But then we have other cars that are just, we have fantasy cars like this. We've got this Darth Vader car. And right next to that one, we have the Stormtrooper car. So if you have a Star Wars interest, then we've got cars for you there. There are plenty of Corvettes, plenty of different types of Lamborghinis, if that's your thing. We have hatchbacks, we have wagons, we have character cars, and some stranger than others. We have this one, this Riddler car. So Fast, basically it's the So Fast car, but they just put some Riddler graphics on there. And so maybe you're a fan of Batman villains. Then we've got a Riddler car. And you can scroll through. There was an ice cream truck I just saw. Plenty of Batmobiles. Batmobiles just left and right. So we've got, for example, this one, the Brave and the Bold Batmobile. And then I just saw right here, we've got the classic, this is my personal favorite, the 1966 TV series Batmobile. And we have every Batmobile between this one and the last Batmobile that came out for the Batman movie, the one that looks more like a hot rod. So every Batmobile represented here. One of my personal favorite cars, this one, the Torino Stalker. This is one that I had when I was a kid. I actually have another of these that I also had. I had two of them. But the one that I had as a kid, it may be in here or not. It had the gold Hot Ones wheels, and it was pretty fast. But I don't know that some of the cars that I had when I was younger, the axles are bent because I played with the cars all the time. So it's not a guarantee that just because I have a car from my youth that it is in the fleet, because a lot of them, like I said, I played with those on the playground, on the sidewalk, everywhere. Always had a Hot Wheels car in my pocket, and as a result, they have a lot of wear and tear, and some of them did not survive well enough to make it through to race today, to operate on our track, because the axles are bent or the tires are just destroyed. Here's another one, this Roger Dodger, this gold Roger Dodger, that I have two of these. So I have one that I played with a lot and is completely beat up. The paint is scratched off and it's almost unrecognizable compared to this one. This one I have, like I had two, and I guess I had the wisdom or whatever to set this one aside and just play with the other one. So this one's in really good condition. Roger Dodgers, they make plenty of those. Those are, you can find them on the shelves today. They have different looks and different graphics, but same car. This is another one that I had when I was a kid, that fortunately the axles aren't bent, so we don't have to worry. And Mustard, welcome. And I see that you have made a pick, 649, the Circle Tracker. Let's go ahead and scroll down and take a look at that. The Circle Tracker, I've seen there's some of these cars performed pretty well. They just didn't happen to be faster than the car that they were facing that particular week. This one is definitely a unique. This was probably, I think, since we've been doing At The Track Live, this has been the biggest surprise, because this Minecraft minecart, absolutely the least aerodynamic car that we've ever put on the track. And it's light, and I had no expectation that it would even finish a race. Not only did it finish the race, it was fast, and I believe it beat one or two cars, which was pretty shocking to me. But again, it's why you have to race the cars, because you just never know. You can have ideas about how a car will perform, but until you actually get it on the track, you really just don't know. And that's the fun of racing these Hot Wheels cars. So let's go ahead and see if we can find. Oh, here's another one. This Dog Fighter. That one performed. It performed better than I expected, but it didn't. Ultimately, it didn't do particularly well. So that was that. But we are looking for car number 649, which is Mustard Jello's pick. Here we go, the Circle Tracker right here. And this is the Spider-Girl character car. And it looks to be a metal body on a plastic base, which may may make it heavier, but we will, once I pull it, we will take a look and see if that is in fact the case. And that is definitely, let me just write that down so that I remember to pull that. 649. And we will see if the circle tracker can take out the cars that I pull out today. So once again, if you go to AtTheTrack.live, if you select choose a car, you will be taken to this same page that I'm scrolling through, and you will see all of the cars. We currently have 774 cars in the fleet. Let's see if I've added them all. I have indeed. Our last car that was entered was this one, this clear speeder, and that clear speeder had to beat out another clear speeder in order to make it into the fleet. But that is the last car that was added. So this clear speeder, 774. You have 774, well, minus the Gazella, you have 773 choices that you can make, and one of those cars could possibly be faster than the Gazella. We are going to find out today if one of the cars is. So all you have to do again is find the car that you want, take the number associated with that car, drop it into the chat just like Mustard Jello did. I will pull the car, and that car will be one of the 6 cars that gets entered into our competition today. So we are ready to see which cars the circle tracker and the Gazella may face. So I have cars in storage, and I should be, the idea is that I take cars out of the storage containers, bring them in, get them into the fleet. But like most Hot Wheels enthusiasts and collectors, every single time I go to a store, Walmart, Target, the grocery store, I always make my way past the Hot Wheels section and see if there's anything new, anything that catches my eye, anything that I think the students might like. And I end up picking up a car here, a car there, 2 cars here, 3 cars there. And before you know it, I have a bag of cars sitting here that is not from storage. The cars are from the past couple of weeks. So I am going to pull some of those cars, and we will see if any of them can compete, challenge the Gazella. So the first car that I picked, this is interesting. So it's called the Haulerback, and it's a tow truck. So Haulerback. And it is, I have some other tow trucks in the fleet, but none of them are this kind of sleek. And I think that this one will do well on the track, but there's an issue. So this is, you'll probably be seeing this in the stores because this is new for 2025, which is great because I'm going to buy another one, and I'll explain why in just a second. But this is the first one to be entered in today, the Haulerback. So let me crack this open, and we can take a closer look. Oh, there's a little blurb on the back. Haulerback, born 2024 in El Segundo, California, which is right down the street. Designer, Hot Wheels. What happens when you combine the speed and agility of a race car with the utility of a tow truck? A visually striking truck with exposed turbos that add a touch of raw power and performance to tow cars away in record speed. So, the Haulerback. So let's crack this open. Okay, and I will check the weight on this one. So just for comparison's sake, the Gazella weighs 32.3 grams. So we've got that car, the Gazella, and the Haulerback weighs 30.2 grams. So it's lighter than the Gazella. And we are going to, let me get it over here on the turntable. Let's take a look. This is the Haulerback. Switch over, and we'll just grab the, I'll grab the video first, and then I will come back with the, let me see. Yeah, see, I need to get this other light set up. I'm going to move it, and that is going to, whoo, almost blinded myself. Let's get this put in. So here's the thing with the Haulerback as we look at this video, as I'm shooting the video. Always with the back end. The back end is probably the most important thing to check for. And on this one, because it's got the tow hook, that is the part that's most prominent in the back of this car. And what it also means is that is the part of this car that is going to press up against the launching block. And it would be much better if it didn't have that tow hook there, because then that back bumper, that flat back bumper, would be pressed up right against the launching block, and it would get a good solid push. And I would then pick this car to do extremely well. But because that tow hook is sticking out, that's the only point that's going to be pressed up against the launching block, and I don't think it's going to guarantee that this car gets a consistent push. And when cars don't get consistent pushes on our track, then anything is likely to happen. So they could get a great push race one, make it down the track, record time, everything's good. But then they get a bad push in race two, and they start bouncing around the track, and they are finding themselves out of the running. So it really does kind of depend on how good a push this car gets. And really the only way to, not the only way to determine it, but usually cars without, that don't have flat back ends, it's very unpredictable how they're going to perform. So let me just get the, still picture here. And I think that's pretty good. Add a little backlight. All right, and we've got the Haulerback has been entered into the fleet, but what I'm saying is, so this part right here, where is my handy dandy pointer? So right here, this tow hook, even though now it is flat, it doesn't come to a point, so then this flat part of the tow hook, that will be pressed up against the launching block, and so it could get a relatively consistent push. But if it did not have the tow hook, then what we'd be talking about is this entire back end, this entire flat back end would be pressed up against the launching block, get a better push. So what I'm going to do is, this is the version of the Haulerback that is going to be in the fleet. That's just how it is, because I don't modify the cars. They just, however they come out of the package is however they hit the track. But because I'm curious, for the sake of experimentation, I am going to, I presume I'll see another of these since they just came out. I'm going to get another of these, and I'm going to cut off this back part of the tow hook, and then race this version against another version that has this cut off to see if that actually makes a difference. If the one with the tow hook is able to beat out the one with no tow hook, with just a flat back end. So that is something that will be happening as soon as I can find another of these in the store. And so since I just saw this one this week, I'm pretty sure I should be able to find another. So we've got the Haulerback. The Haulerback. All right, and the year it was manufactured is 2024. So one of our newest cars. I think last week we had a car that was also one of the new for 2025 cars, and it was also manufactured in 2024. Yeah, it was that super twin mill that was really fast. So, all right, we've got the Haulerback. So when I was in the store, different store, the grocery store, I'm minding my business, buying my groceries, go down the Hot Wheels aisle, and I see that they had the Hot Wheels Racing Vintage Club branded cars. And I had there was a BMW that we raced not too long ago that was from this collection. I want to say it was the 92 BMW M3. And maybe there was another one. But either way, we've already had one from this, was it the 62 Corvette? Maybe? I think maybe it was the 62 Corvette. Either way, this is the series. I mean, this is the little branded series, the Vintage Racing Club. And on the back here, there are 5 cars. There's a 62 Corvette. There is a Toyota 2000 GT, which maybe that was the one. No? What else? We have a 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 302, custom Ford Maverick, and this one, the custom 240Z. Now, the reason that I picked up this custom Datsun 240Z is because when I was a kid, my mom was always saying that her favorite car, the car that she wanted, her dream car back in the 80s, was a 280Z. And they didn't have a 280Z there, they had a 240Z. And one of the things is, I have a Hot Wheels, I have a 280Z, and it is right here. But this is another example of a car that I played with when I was a kid, and it is not able to run on the track because the axles are bent, the tires are definitely kind of damaged, and it is not able to run. So I couldn't run the 280Z. So when I saw the 240Z, I was like, yeah, okay, that'll do, and that'll be a fine substitute until I get a 280Z. So this one cannot race, and you can see again, like I said, I played with these. I don't know anybody back then who just bought Hot Wheels to keep them in the package. It was just something like you played with your Hot Wheels. I don't know. But anyway, this 280Z, and it's actually not called, it's called the Z-Wiz, but it's still, I know what it is and what it's supposed to be and what it's modeled after. And what's the year on this one? 1979, or is that 76? Yeah, 76. So that's what that one is modeled after. But since this one isn't, for example, look at this. When I try to spin the wheels, oh, that one spun. See, sometimes they kind of stick, and it's not necessarily evident on the video, but the axles are definitely bent, and the wheels aren't spinning freely enough to make this a solid pick. So what we are going to do instead is I'm going to crack open this custom Datsun 240Z from the Vintage Racing Club collection, and we will take a closer look. Okay, and let's go ahead and see how much this one weighs. This one comes in at 32.5 grams, so it's right in line with the Gazella, which I believe was 32.3. And go ahead and switch over here. And like a lot of these cars from this series, the detail is really impressive, and it's why these cars cost a little more than your average basic Hot Wheels. I think I paid like $350 for this one, which isn't a lot, but it's, you know, double, a little more than double, almost triple what I pay for most of the cars. So, but it's okay, because this is car number 776. It is the custom Datsun 240Z. And now the back end is flat. I see it does have the tailpipe there, and that might stick out. If that tailpipe sticks out beyond the back end, then that tailpipe is going to be the part of the car that actually touches the launching block, and that may throw off the actual launch. And it looks like, we'll see as it comes around here. Yeah, you can see right there how it sticks out. So that's going to be the only part that touches the launching block, and I don't know that that's going to make for a good, consistent launch. In fact, I think it's going to make for a poor launch, but we will see. It's got the flared out fenders, and it's just a good looking car. And as it comes around, finish up the video. Got that. Now I just need to grab the still picture of this one. This Datsun 240Z. Datsun later became Nissan, but this is definitely, let's zoom in. Yeah, this is a good looking car, and if it wasn't for that tailpipe sticking out, I would have pretty high hopes for this car. But that tailpipe is sticking out, so I don't know. All right, let me grab the still picture. And we now have our 776th car entered into the fleet. It is the Datsun 240Z. Let me check the year on this one. Year is 2016. These wheels they look cool, but they don't seem to spin as freely as I think I would prefer if I was to try and pick a car that is going to be one of the contenders for our fastest in fleet title. So we have the Haulerback, we have the Datsun 240Z, and there is another, let's see, let's go back. So another car that I picked up is this one. It's pretty cool. It is the Dragtor, and drag racing tractor, and I like it. It's cool, and I don't think it would be particularly fast on the track, partly because the wheels, there's no back end of the car or the tractor that sticks out beyond the back wheels. And so that means that the wheels are going to be the thing that are pressed up against the launching block. And so the launching block is going to push them out, but because it's pressed up against them, I don't know that the wheels would begin to roll and the car would get a good launch. But that's not the reason why I ultimately decided not to race this car. It's because of this. And you can see that it's open wheeled. And we have had cars on our track with open wheels, and everyone has been destroyed because I've mentioned this before, that the launcher, the whole idea is that as cars move faster, as objects move faster, then the air has more of an impact on them, and therefore aerodynamics becomes more important, and the impact of drag is more pronounced. So I needed to create a launcher that shot the cars out with a lot of force, and it needed to be a stronger launcher than anything that Mattel produced that I could buy off the shelves. So I designed and 3D printed and created a launcher, and that launcher shoots the cars out with a lot of force. Well, the downside of that is that cars with open wheels, if they crash, then these wheels hit the barriers with so much force that the axles get bent, and then the cars are completely unusable. And we went through, there's probably 3 or 4 open wheel cars that absolutely cannot race anymore, got destroyed on our track because of just that. They came off, they hit the barrier, the axles bent, and that's a wrap. And there's no way to straighten those axles back out once they're bent. You would have to remove them and replace them. So cars like this, like, I bought it because it looks cool, and that's 90% of what Hot Wheels purchases are about. Does the car look cool? But when you see the wheels there, those wheels, especially those little thin disc wheels, if those crash and hit the barrier, and I've learned my lesson at this point, that when this type of car hits the barrier, it's done. It's finished completely. So this one I am going to just hang on to because I like the look of it, the Dragtor, the drag tractor, but it's not going to make it to the track because I don't want to just buy it to destroy it. So open wheel cars have officially been banned from the track. Now, if I ever hook up the slower Mattel launcher, then some of these open wheel cars can come back. But for now, you have to be able to take those bumps and survive. And otherwise, you're going to be in for a long day. So, hey, Roughshod, what's up? Roughshod's definitely going to pick, so good. So, I'll pull out, once Roughshod makes his pick, I'll get Roughshod's car, I'll get Mustard's car, and we'll see which other cars are going to challenge them. When I got that 240Z from that Hot Vintage Racing Club collection, they had some others. Actually, I got there. Sometimes you get to the store right on time when all of the cars from a collection are there. Other times you get there late and other collectors have gone through, and you might find 1 or 2 cars. But I found this other one that was in that same set, and this is the Toyota 2000 GT. So I just need to check to make sure I don't already have one of these, because it sounds familiar, but I could be wrong. Let's see, Toyota. Yep, already got one. Car number 656. So let's go ahead and take a look, because I don't remember which one that is, but I thought the name sounded familiar. So car 656 will be a relatively recent one. I mean, well, not so recent, but last few months. 656. Oh, yeah. Well, is this the same car? So that's kind of the mainline version of this. And, I think because they look, it is the same, it's definitely the same car. But usually, so one of the things, I don't like having duplicates, but one thing that is key, if the wheels are different, I will sometimes have a duplicate, just because there can be differences, like perhaps not only the wheel is different, maybe the axle is different, maybe there's something else mechanically different about the car. So even though we have this mainline Toyota 2000 GT, I think I'm also going to add this one because it's just a little different. It's a little different, just the little differences. So we will see here, and I see Roughshod has made his pick. So let's crack this one open, take a look at it, and then we'll come back, take a look at Roughshod's pick, and then I will pull those two cars, and we will get back to this. So, all right, this Toyota 2000 GT from the Vintage Racing Club collection. So let's go ahead and crack this open. And I think what I should do is, so if I end up, when I find another of those Haulerbacks, then I will find, and I clip off that toe hook, since I'm going to have that competition anyway with the two Haulerbacks, then I might as well bring out that other Toyota GT and race it against this one and see which one can stay. Actually, you know what? Got a better idea. Here's what we're going to do. This Toyota GT right here, let's go ahead and take a look at it. All right, so we have this Toyota 2000 GT, but there's already one in the fleet. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a race between the one that's in the fleet and this one. If this one can beat the one that's already in the fleet, then it gets to stay. If it can't, if it loses, then it's a prize car. So let's see. It's going to have to earn its spot today. So let me just get the still picture real quick of this one, just in case it gets to stay. If it does not get to stay, then at least it will have had a pretty picture taken. And let's fire this up and get this video going here. As it comes around, it is temporarily entered into the fleet. And we will find out if maybe they're the same. This one, the weight was 33.8 grams, which puts it in line with the other cars that we have lined up today. Although I think Mustard's car, because it's metal on plastic, is probably going to end up being heavier. I'll put this one in at car number 778 because it might not be staying. This is the Toyota 2000 GT. And so that other one was 656, so it should probably be in the same box as Mustard's pick. So 656. That was the other Toyota. So we are going to have a face-off here today between the Toyota 2000 GTs. We have the Haulerback, the sort of drag tow truck, and we have the 240Z. And we also have, let me check the year on this one. The year is 2011. And so we have those cars. And we are also, let's take a look at Roughshot's pick. He picked car number 77. Let's go ahead and scroll down and see which car that is that will be hitting the track. The Rocket Fire. Okay, so it's going with the fantasy car. It's got this huge rocket in the back, and from that picture, I can't tell. It looks like the rocket sticks all the way out, so that's going to be the point of the car that is in contact with the launching block and fires out. So we have this car, looks to be plastic body on a metal base, and we have seen that be an effective combination on our track. So let's do this. I'm going to go pull those 3 cars. That would be the, let me just double check that number. So yeah, I'm going to pull the other Toyota 2000 GT. I'm going to pull Roughshods. Let me see, what was it? Rocket Fire, I think it was called. Let's close this. That was Rocket Fire. And then we will get Mustard's car. So I'm going to go grab those 3. Mustard's car was the circle tracker. So I'm going to grab those 3. And it should just take me a minute. And I will be right back. All right, we've got the cars, and let's go ahead and take a first look at Roughshod's Rocket Fire. So I'm checking the weight, and the weight on the Rocket Fire is 36.9 grams. So it's not way outside the range of what we've got here, but let's go ahead and take a look. This car comes around, and it looks like it's got some divots on the tires, but though it's actually smoothed out. It looks that way, and the light makes it look a little worse than it is. Huge rear tire. But first, let me go back and let's take a look at this back end. So I was looking at this part, the rocket engine, the turbo engine, or whatever that is, thinking that was going to be the part, but it turns out that at the base here, it has this little metal strip that's actually sticking out a little further than the rocket engine. So that's actually going to be the part that touches the launching block, and it's flat, it's wide, it's flat, so that's actually good. That's much better situation for this car because it pretty much not guarantees perfect launch, but it's much better than if it just had some random part, like on that Datsun 240Z, where it had the little tailpipe sticking out. It had a flat back, but it had that little tailpipe sticking out, and that's not going to help it. That's not going to ensure a solid launch. So this one, the Rocket Fire, it looks like we've got that flat back end, so that's great. And now the huge tire in the back, huge wheel in the back, small wheel in the front. Trying to think if we've seen cars that have the different wheel sizes. That's an interesting combination, how those cars have done. Not certain, but it's got this sort of lower profile. That's one of the traits that we've seen in the cars that have been performing well recently, is that they don't have the big drivers, the windshield and the canopy, the kind of traditional look. They're much more sleek up top. So we will see how this car does. It seems like a big car, but it's not. It doesn't weigh that much more. It is a plastic body on a metal base, and we will see how the Rocket Fire performs. And now let's take a look at Mustard's pick, which is this one, the Circle Tracker. And that car has been, we raced this was months ago, but it did race. But again, looking at the back end, this flat back end, and the question is, does the wing stick out? Does the wing stick out beyond the bumper, or does the bumper stick out? It looks like, if we look at it here, the bumper is sticking out a little further than the wing. So, yeah, right there. The bumper is definitely sticking out a little further than the wing. So now the question is the bumper, how flat is the bumper? The bumper is not very flat at all. In fact, the bumper is much more rounded. I mean, not much more rounded, but it's rounded enough so that it's not going to get, it's not necessarily going to have a flat edge. If this was flat, if that edge was flat, I think I would have better hopes for this car. But it's just sort of, when you don't have a flat back end, now you're just really kind of relying on the luck of the launch to see if you get a good, consistent push. So if this car gets a good push one race, I'm sure it can do well, but then there's no guarantee that it's going to get that same consistent push the next time around. So we will have to find out if that's the case. And then, of course, we have I pulled this other Toyota 2000 GT, which I'm just checking the weight again. 33.8 for this one. This is the new one that I pulled. And then the old one, 34.2 grams. So the old one, somehow, some way, weighs a little more. But we can take a look at these. Pretty much identical. You can see on the Vintage Racing Club, you can see where they added details. So here they just paint over the tail lights, but then on the vintage version they added some color and trim. There's just more detail on the cars, but I guess you expect that when you pay a little bit more, then you should get a little bit more. But we are going to find out, because in order for the number 3 car to stay in the fleet, then it is going to have to beat out the existing car that is currently in that spot in the fleet as the representative for the Toyota 2000 GT. So we have plenty of cars to race so far. I think we have 5. We've got the Haulerback, the 240Z. We've got potentially one of these cars. We've potentially got the number 3 2000 GT. Then we have the Circle Tracker that Mustard picked. We have the Rocket Fire that Roughshod picked, which leaves us one more slot to fill before we hit the track. And we will fill that slot with this next car. And I think I know which one I want. But I threw all of these cars into a big bag. But I see the one I want. And the one I picked up, is this one, the Retroactive. And I'm going to double check the spreadsheet just to make sure don't already have one, because this is definitely going to be a car that I picked this up specifically because I thought it could do well. So let's see. Rescue, Rex, Rig, Riley, Rem. Nope, no Retroactive. So the Retroactive is the latest car that is going to be introduced into the fleet. It is a fantasy car, and I picked it up based on what we've been seeing from these other cars. Hang on. Got an issue in the spreadsheet. Move that down right there. Yeah. And So the retroactive, let me crack this open and we will take a look. This is part of another of these gimmicks, the Quarter Mile Hero series. That's the label and that's the group. So our track is a 1/64th scale quarter mile. So does that mean this is set to perform well on that track? I don't know. We're going to find out. Let me crack it open. And let's get the weight on this car. It doesn't feel very heavy. It's coming in at 31.7 grams, so it is not heavy at all. And let me get it lined up and we can take a look at it as it comes around. I like the paint. It's got this kind of a burnt orange, but there's, as it goes through the light, there are these kind of yellow highlights. It's got a metallic kind of finish. I don't like, and I like the graphics on the top. I definitely like that. What I do not like are the two different wheel colors. I mean the wheels are both white, but that sort of hub area where one's black and one's yellow, I think a different wheel combination, and I would have liked this car a lot more. As it comes around the back, you see it's got the little plug right in the back, right where the tailpipe would be on some other cars. Let me see, retro dash active. But based on the cars that we've seen do well the last few weeks, I think this one definitely will. The back end, as it comes around, you see it's completely flat. The sort of aerodynamic profile, very sleek, and it's metal on plastic. It's relatively lightweight compared to some of the other cars, and it has no windshield and traditional kind of driver's canopy to create any additional drag. And I think, again, it's part of the whole process of the scientific process. You make your observations, you make your hypothesis, you take your educated guess based on everything you've seen and observed, but ultimately none of that matters until you conduct the experiment. And our experiment is racing the cars on our track. This is going to be our final entrant of the day. This is going to be the retroactive. Once I get this still picture here, fill that light in, lock in the focus, and we have our cars for the day that are going to be hitting the track, that are going to be trying to ultimately challenge the Gazella R for fastest in fleet supremacy. So we have the retroactive, we have the 240Z, we have the Rocket Fire, the Haulerback, the Circle Tracker, and we have those two Toyota 2000 GTs. And we will see which of those actually gets to stay, because that's going to be the first race of those 2000 GTs. And if the new 2000 GT doesn't get the job done, it does not get to stay. It becomes a prize car. So that's a life or death situation. It is what I've talked about before. The loser. It's like the old school wrestling, the loser leaves town matches, where you had two wrestlers that were competing against each other and had a feud, and it just got to a certain point where they both couldn't stay there. So they had a loser leave town match, and the wrestler that lost had to leave the territory. And then they might come back in a mask or some other gimmick. But either way, that's what we're going to have. We're going to have a loser leave the fleet match. And then we are going to see, actually, let me check the year on the retroactive to enter that in. 2010. So we are just about ready to hit the track. If this is the first time you are watching All About Aerodynamics at the Track Live, this is what you are about to see. When we go to the track, you are going to see our 3-camera track view. The cars are going to start at the top left of the screen, and the screen all the way on the left. In the launcher, I am going to give a countdown, 3, 2, 1, race. Then I will release the cars from the launcher. They'll come firing out. They'll come from top to bottom. They will pass out of the bottom of the screen on the left, and they will show up at the top of the screen in the center. They will go from top to bottom. They will pass out of the screen in the center, and they will show up on the far right at the top of our finish line camera. And they will come from top to bottom. They will cross the finish line, and the winning car will be indicated with a solid red light. A solid red light will indicate the winning car, and a flashing red light will indicate the losing car. And it is just that simple. We also have to make sure that the races are fair and equal, so after each race, the cars will switch lanes. It is best 2 out of 3. So the first car to win 2 races will move on in the tournament. If the cars crash, which happens, but if the cars crash and leave the track, if a car crashes, leaves the track, we just throw out the results of that race. We line the cars up again and redo the race. If a car crashes twice consecutively, then it's eliminated, because usually if a car crashes twice consecutively, there's some problem that's between the launcher and the car combination that isn't going to be resolved by just rerunning the race. So if a car crashes twice consecutively and leaves the track, the leaving the track part is important, because we've had cars that have crashed, gone upside down, but stayed on the track. That counts. They have to leave the track in order to get a restart. So that is what we are going to be looking at. We've got a good lineup here, and there is nothing left to do but to go to the track. So I will see you over there in 30 seconds. Okay, and let me just come back here. Yep. And I just need to double check the audio, make sure everything is working. 1, 2, yep. All right, audio's good, track is ready, and we have the cars. It is time to find out if any of them are going to be able to beat out the Gazella R. But before we get to that, our first matchup is our loser leaves the fleet matchup, which is going to be, put that there, it's going to be the existing Toyota 2000 GT versus the Vintage Racing Club Toyota 2000 GT. So we are going to find out if we are in fact going to end up with 778 cars in the fleet, or if we are going to have 777, because if the newer Toyota GT does not win, it does not get to stay. So we will find out very soon. Let me get this car lined up. So we've got the new GT versus the slightly older GT. So the new GT is in lane 1. The older GT is, new GT is in lane 2. Older GT is in lane 1. The car in lane 2, this number 3, it is going to have to win in order to keep a spot in the fleet. So checking the track one last time. Everything looks good. All right, here we go. Race number 1, Toyota 2000 GT versus Toyota 2000 GT. Race 1. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. And the main line, older 2000 GT took that race. And so we are going to switch lanes, and we are going to see if the newer GT, the Vintage Racing Club GT, can come back. It had better come back, or it is going to be going to the prize bin, where it will find a good home with one of the All About Aerodynamics students, but it will not be in the fleet. So it's racing for its position, for its job, and here we go. So we've got the newer Vintage Racing Club Toyota 2000 GT in lane 1, and we've got the older Toyota 2000 GT in lane 2. Lane 1, you better take it, otherwise you're out of the fleet. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. And to the prize bin you go. So the Toyota 2000 GT from the Vintage Racing Club is now a member, an esteemed member of the prize car group, and that is where it will remain until some student decides that's the car I want to pick, and they select that car and they take it home. All right, next up. So now we are down to, with that car eliminated, we have 5 cars left. So we've got the Haulerback, we've got the Circle Tracker, we've got the Rocket Fire Retroactive, and the 240Z. So what we're going to do, we're going to go Circle Tracker, Mustard Circle Tracker versus this 240Z. And let's see which car is going to move on from this group. So we've got the 240Z, the flared out fenders just fitting into the launching bay, but it does. And now we've got the Circle Tracker. Circle Tracker will be in lane 2. And the 240Z is in lane 1. Race 1, here we go. Three, two, one, race. Woo. Circle Tracker takes it with ease and moves one step closer to moving on. These races are best 2 out of 3, so we are going to switch lanes, and we are going to see if the Circle Tracker can have a clean sweep, and whether or not, or if we'll need a third race to determine the winner. Let's get this up here. The 240Z, it's a good looking car. Probably one of the best of the bunch that have been introduced today. But looking good doesn't necessarily translate into performing well. So we are going to find out right now if the Circle Tracker is going to get the job done. Yeah, that Circle Tracker does look fast. Let's see what happens, because maybe the 240Z is just slow, but that was just one race. Here's the second race, Circle Tracker lane 1, 240Z lane 2. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Woo. Okay, so the Circle Tracker didn't get out to the best start. And that's what I was saying about that rounded back end, that it might take a little longer to get, like you're not necessarily going to get consistent launches, but the Circle Tracker it was behind a little bit at the beginning, but then it got right and took off, caught the Z about halfway, 2/3 down the track, and beat it out at the end. So the circle tracker will be moving on. The Z goes back to the garage. So now we have the Rocket Fire, the Retroactive, and the Haulerback. So let's go. I'm kind of curious to see what's up with this Haulerback. So we'll go Haulerback and Rocket Fire. And once I buy another of these Haulerbacks, there's definitely going to be an experiment to see. I'm going to cut off the tow hook on the other Haulerback and see if having a flat back end on that car is going to make a difference. But I'm not going to put the modified version into the fleet. It's going to be the one that actually just came right out of the pack unmodified. So Haulerback is in lane 1. Roughshod's Rocket Fire is going to be in lane 2. Just need to get it lined up. And we'll see which car is going to move on along with the circle tracker. So we've got the Rocket Fire in lane 2. We've got the Haulerback in lane 1. Race 1. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Woo. Haulerback was pretty fast. It didn't get the questionable launch that I was worried about. It seemed to come out pretty straight, pretty even. Didn't bounce around a lot. So we are going to switch lanes and see if the Rocket Fire can pick up a win and push us to a third race. We are going to find out in moments. Let's see here. We've got the Haulerback in lane 2, the Rocket Fire in lane 1 with the larger tires at the back, smaller tires at the front, sort of dragster style. Let's get this in here. Let's get these. Got to get it pressed up right against the launching block, because if the car is not pressed up against the launching block, then the launching block kind of punches the car out instead of pushing it out, and that's no good. So, all right, here we go. We've got the Rocket Fire in lane 1. We have the Haulerback in lane 2. Haulerback's up 1 race to none. Here we go. Three, 2, 1, race. Woo. So the Rocket Fire loses that race, but this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. A car is better off crashing and leaving the track. The Rocket Fire, I don't know how clear it was on the video, but in the first third, the Rocket Fire went up on 2 wheels, and 2 of the wheels actually went onto the barrier, and it kind of went up. It went up kind of like this and was on, and 2 of the wheels were on the barrier. It might have been back here in this area. 2 wheels were on the barrier, and then it came down and landed back on the track. The problem is it stayed on the track and finished out the race. It would have been better to have crashed and left the track, because then we could have gone to a restart. But that was an interesting look, and I'll have to go back and pull the video and slow it down and take a look at exactly what the Rocket Fire did. That was an impressive stunt. Unfortunately, the Haulerback stayed on the track and completed the race. So that is what happened there. So we now have the Haulerback and the circle tracker, and we have the retroactive that hasn't raced. So we're going to go retroactive against the circle tracker to see which car is going to make it to the finals. And we will put the Retroactive in lane 1. And the Retroactive is the car that I picked specifically because it kind of fit into the mold of the cars that we've seen recently that have done well on the track. So Retroactive is in lane 1. Circle Tracker is in lane 2. Race number 1. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Whew. That's Circle Tracker. Circle Tracker came out, had another great performance. When a car performs really well one time, you can say, well, maybe the car it's racing is slow, and that could be the case. But when the car is dominant multiple times, then you have to start to pay attention to that. So the Circle Tracker's up 1 race to none. We're going to switch lanes, and if the Circle Tracker can take this one, then that will be 4 races in a row that it has won, and we might be looking at a serious challenger for the title. So let's go ahead and switch these lanes up, and the Circle Tracker will now be in lane number 1. Get it lined up. And we've got the Retroactive in lane 2. Race number 2, here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. That race was much closer, but the Circle Tracker takes it again. So the Circle Tracker has taken 4 races in a row and has now moved on to the finals, where it will take on the Haulerback, the Retroactive. It only raced the Circle Tracker, but I was kind of expecting more from that car. But the results are what the results are, and we are now about to see which of these cars will move on to challenge the Gazella R. So we've got the Haulerback and we've got the Circle Tracker. The Circle Tracker is going to be in lane number 2. And the Haulerback is going to be in lane number 1. Race number 1 is coming up. Haulerback lane 1, Circle Tracker lane 2. This is the finals. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Woo. Circle Tracker with its 5th win in a row. We are now just 1 win away from a clean sweep and from seeing the Circle Tracker take on the Gazella R. Let me get this barrier at the end straightened out. And cars are going to switch lanes. So this time the Circle Tracker will be in lane 1. And the Haulerback will be in lane 2. So let's get these cars lined up and see which car is going to be taking on the Gazella R for the fastest in fleet crown. The Haulerback is going to need to take this race to force a 3rd race, but right now we've got the Circle Tracker in lane 1, up by 1 race, and we've got the Haulerback in lane 2. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Okay, the Haulerback was not ready to go to the garage just yet. The Haulerback takes that race, and I think that if I had to guess, I would say that the Haulerback, because of that tow bar, because of that tow bar, it's not necessarily going to get a consistent launch. And I think if it gets a good launch, then we see a performance like we saw in that race. But if it gets a bad launch, then it could easily lose. So we are going to switch lanes. The circle tracker is going to be in lane 2. The Haulerback is going to be in lane 1. And we will see which car, this will tell us which car is going to come out and face the Gazella R. Okay, let me get these lined up just right. All right, so we have the circle tracker in lane 2. We have the why did I just all of a sudden blank out on the name? What is this thing? Haulerback. The Haulerback in lane 1. Circle tracker in lane 2. This is race number 3. This is it. Whichever car takes it is moving on. It's our champion for the day, and we'll move on to face the Gazella. Here we go. Race number 3. Three, two, one, race. Ooh, and mustard! The circle tracker takes that race and is today's champion. The circle tracker is going to line up next against the Gazella for the fastest in fleet title. We are going to find out right now. Can a car, because it's interesting, the circle tracker, I think it was car 640 something, like it was in the mid 600s, which means that it's raced within the last few months, and it also means that there was a car that beat it. Now maybe that was the Draftnator back then, or maybe it was the Blitz Speeder, I don't know, but we are about to find out if the circle tracker, having its second shot to run on the track, can take out our newest fastest in fleet champion, the Gazella R. So the Gazella is going to be in lane 1. The circle tracker is going to be in lane 2. This should tell us a lot. This first race should tell us a lot. Is the circle tracker going to be able to keep it close? Is the circle tracker going to be able to win? Or will the Gazella show that it's as dominant as its predecessor, the Blitz Speeder? We're going to find out. This is race number 1. We've got the circle tracker in lane 2. We've got the Gazella, the champion, in lane 1. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Okay, so the Gazella took that pretty clearly, but it was not a blowout. So the circle tracker is definitely going to have to have its A++ game on if it wants to take 2 straight from the Gazella. And we are going to switch lanes. So now the circle tracker will be in lane number 1. And we will find out pretty quickly whether or not we are going to need to have a third race, or whether the Gazella R is actually just that good. And we know it's fast, but how fast is it? We're going to find out. So circle tracker, lane 1, Gazella, lane 2. Circle tracker has to take this race to force a third. Otherwise, the Gazella moves on. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Woo. And the Gazella opened up that lead and didn't look back. The circle tracker had a good run, 5 straight, but the Gazella remains our fastest in fleet champion. I'm going to gather up these cars, head back into the garage, and we'll take a look at the cars that won, some of the cars that lost, and what's ahead. So I'll be back in the garage in just a minute. So the Gazella remains our fastest in fleet champion, and the Circle Tracker definitely is faster than I remember, because I definitely remember it being, I remember it racing, but I just don't remember the car that that beat it. But among the cars that we pulled, it was definitely very quick, and I was really disappointed in the retroactive. I thought that the retroactive, again, based on everything that we've seen from the cars that have been doing well in the past few weeks, I just thought the retroactive would have a better showing in performance. I didn't see anything that was wrong with the car. It had a good kind of sleek aerodynamic profile. The back end was flat, which is helpful on our track, but it didn't have what it took. And the Circle Tracker absolutely handled its business, and was a really good fast car. So the retroactive, yeah, I was disappointed in it. It had this whole gimmick, the quarter mile heroes, whatever that means. I think the Hot Wheels marketing department just has to, have a quota of slang gimmicks to throw out there and put on the packaging. But what does it really mean? In this case, it didn't mean much, because the retroactive was definitely beaten by the Circle Tracker. So, but the Circle Tracker could not keep up with the Blitz Speeder. I'm so used to saying that. The Gazella R. And I think that we had the idea that, all right, the Blitz Speeder was champion for 17 weeks, was destroying cars left and right, didn't even have much competition. And along comes a car that beats that car. So, I mean, the fact is, we found a car faster than the Blitz Speeder, which means odds are there's a car faster than the Gazella. But I think that's going to be a hard car to find. But maybe you'll find it. Maybe I'll find it in the stores. Maybe I already have it in storage. So it's going to be in one of those places. If you want to take a closer look and a more thorough, steady look, you can go to AtTheTrack.live. During the week, you can click on choose a car. Maybe you're at work, maybe you're bored, maybe you're standing in line somewhere and you have to, maybe you're at the DMV, or you're in some other kind of long line waiting for something. All you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live, select choose a car, and then you can take your time. You can look through all of the cars that we have listed. We have fantasy cars, we have some Matchbox cars, we have cars based on real cars, race cars, drag cars, Batmobiles, 70s cars, 80s cars, 90s cars, character cars. There's this Mach 5. There's so many different cars and types of cars. If you've watched any of the episodes, which I know that most people watch them after the fact, if you've watched the episodes, you can see the kinds of cars that tend to do well on our track, which is different than a gravity track. So if you have a car that does well on gravity tracks, you can throw out kind of that idea of that car also performing well on our track, because I've gone through YouTube videos and found other channels that race Hot Wheels cars on gravity tracks, and I find the cars that they have as their champions, and I get those cars and I bring them onto our track, and they get absolutely just destroyed, because there's a whole different criteria that you're looking for when you're doing a gravity track race versus our flat drag track. And our cars are moving much faster than cars on a gravity track, and so you have to account for different things, especially drag and the aerodynamics. So important. But you can take your time. Look through here. You know which kind of cars do well. So go through, decide, all right, this car could probably do well. Take the number of that car and drop it in the chat next Saturday. Or what you can do is you can just send me the number of the car and the name of the car through DM during the week if you go to our Instagram account, and I will pull the car. Or the other thing is, if you're just a Hot Wheels collector, Hot Wheels racer, Hot Wheels enthusiast, and you already know the car that you're looking for, but you can't find it in here, you don't want to scroll through and look at every single car, then all you have to do is just send me a DM or an email or whatever and tell me the name of the car, and then I can check in the spreadsheet, see if we have it, and if we do, I'll pull it just like today, and once I pull it, it will hit the track and it will compete against whichever new cars I introduce and whichever cars that viewers select. And that is AtTheTrack.live. That's how it works. We just race Hot Wheels cars, have fun, and that's pretty much it. But there are 777 cars because that Toyota 2000 GT does not get to stay in the fleet because it lost its loser leave the fleet match. And so that's it. That car is out. And we have 777 cars, lucky 777. And of those 777 cars, well, 776 minus the Gazella, there should be one that is faster than the Gazella. Maybe. And then of all the cars that I have in storage, there should be one that's faster than the Gazella. Maybe. If you can pick the car, then go ahead and do so. We will race that car against the Gazella. I suspect there's one faster. I just don't know which one it is. It'll be fun trying to find out. So the Gazella remains our fastest in fleet champion. It has now defended its title twice. And so we are moving towards, if it can, I need to get some kind of counter, because if the Gazella can make it 17 weeks, it will have a rematch with the Blitz Speeder. And we will see if that victory that the Gazella scored was just a right day, right time situation, or if it's actually definitively faster than the Blitz Speeder. We did that with the Blitz Speeder against the Draftnator at one point. The Blitz Speeder beat the Draftnator again and didn't look back. So that's what's in the future for the Gazella, and it is a lot of fun. Let me just check. I know Christmas is coming up, so I hope everybody has a good Christmas and holiday. I just want to check the calendar to make sure that next Saturday isn't... Okay, yeah, next Saturday is the 28th. Absolutely. We will be here with more races and more Hot Wheels action. Again, go to AtTheTrack.live and choose a car. Look through there, find a car, pick a car, let me know the car, and we will pick it, we will race it, we will see how it all goes. Follow me on at AA Aerodynamics or on Instagram to get some updates on some different things that are happening with All About Aerodynamics and this channel. I'm going to try to go up there, preview some cars that I have picked up that could be candidates to race this coming Saturday. So it is about that time to head on out. Rough shot. See you next time. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to Mustard and everybody else who is watching now. If you're watching later, hey, hope you had a Merry Christmas. And I think that is about it. So for At The Track Live and All About Aerodynamics, I am Coach James. And until next time, I will see you at the races.